All right, guys, quit making fun of me. Yes, I had to wear my headphones this week. You can stop that. Just put it down right now.
Wiki scratch. Hold on.
We get DJ Darin up in here.
DJ Darin, that's right. Listening to all this crap every week. Yes.
Can you talk like that for the full hour?
VIP.
You want to talk like this the rest of the show? That's right, guys. No, I'm not.
Nope.
Because that
Good
is
morning,
old
Vietnam.
DJ. That's like the way the old guys did it. Shut up. Don't say it.
It'd be kind of cool.
No.
I wasn't going to say it.
Way too much energy required for that one. All right, this
I mean,
is
it's
After
what
the
you
Bell.
get
It is
paid
After the
for.
Bell on a Wednesday, and I'm covering up whatever Daniel's trying to say. And these are my guests here. We have Daniel, as I just spoke about. He's got a little camera issue going on today, but he's back there. Trust me, that is not the game of Minecraft. That's actually Daniel there, and he will not be going to mine for anything during this show.
I'm building my AI.
He's going to go
Brick by
crypto
brick.
mining now. That's what it's a new game, but it's crypto mining. All right, so down in the bottom left of your screen, you have our banker. That's JPM, Josh Morgan, and we have Mr. Red, who probably wore that red shirt for one reason today, and we'll get into that when we look at our scores for the competition. Yeah, he did that on purpose. So that's Royce. He is the reason we all exist here.
Not really.
And he signs our check. All right, so
If they want
take the sponsorship if you want to.
Right. If they want to.
Right.
Right.
Any sponsorships, please.
Yes.
Go to arbitragetrade.com and hit talk to the prompt. Leave us a message. Or is it Royce at arbitragetrade.com? That works.
Hey, don't put my email address out there. Have you lost your mind?
That's on the website.
No, it's not.
Oh. So we're gonna start all over?
All right. Darin is officially canceled.
No, this is recording. I can start all over. I can clip it out.
We'll just clip it out.
I'll have a little. I'll have to remember to do that. Let's see. Write it down. Clip out.
Yes.
Darin has been secretly replaced with a guy named Ron Bush.
Get my job done.
Well, I'm not going to lay my voice down, so you can just copy it and use it AI.
Darin.ai.
Darin.ai, that's right.
Which voice are you going to use? Are you going to use this voice or are you going to use this voice? All right, so let's go. Let's get going. Excuse me. All right, so let's go to tail of the tape. The markets. I mean, we had everything was going up. I think probably even when you wrote this, but now with our volatility,
I told you expect a lot of it.
Everything was going down, but now with the volatility, everything actually ended up today because they're just playing and yanking it up and down and trying to shake retail and all that good stuff. But the Dow was up 0.71%, S&P was up 0.39%, and the NASDAQ up 0.19%. I just, for the most part, call that over the last couple of days, it's just been flat. Bitcoin is down a little bit, got down below 100K to 97.3, and the dollar sitting at 107.60 right now. So, anything you want to add to that, Daniel? Our facts and figures.
You know, I forget exactly what day it was. Maybe it was my Monday morning, and I woke up and had a panic attack when ETH was below 3K, Bitcoin was at like 90. And the S&P, was, in the futures market opened down 2%. I was like, wow, like my net worth is entirely gone. But then I remembered to look at gold, and at least I was like, well, my dad will be very happy that gold has continued to, reach almost all-time highs of 2,900. So, but now it's, Wednesday, and things are kind of back. So it's been crazy volatile this week. So I am interested to hear what Royce will have to say later in some charts of, how things are poised for next week. Because
yes.
Be much less volatile, probably honestly the next 4 years.
Yeah, I did warn you.
Yep. All right, before we move on to the next one, anything there, Josh, on what the market's doing is just kind of staying in place, but going down, up and down?
Basically doing exactly what we predicted. We first, when the year rolled over, it's just a bunch of volatility. We're going to get swings one way or the other, and a bunch of, uncertainty has been injected into the market, and the market's reacting accordingly. So it makes perfect sense.
No, they don't. They don't call them mean tweets anymore. I guess because it just doesn't work. But yeah,
Well, no,
he
because
talks.
you can't fact check
Arthur
them anymore.
listens. That's right. That's right. They took out the fact checkers from Facebook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The opinion checkers is what I called them. Actually paid opinion checker. Anyway, we'll move on. Who's
Darin, you
buying
should be one
TikTok,
of
guys?
those.
Who is buying TikTok? You said you had like 3 people there, Daniel, that are in the running, or 4. How many?
Yeah. So, this is like pretty interesting. I think is one Mr. Beast, who, if you guys don't know who Mr. Beast is
You live under a
I
rock.
believe that the number one YouTuber in the world, right, has like more subscribers than anybody by a long shot. But he has secured $20 billion to purchase TikTok, through investors and whatnot. And as we know in the past, Elon is supposedly in the running to purchase TikTok. And I've seen some things about he's supposedly, doing some like debt offerings at like Morgan Stanley to potentially raise the money to do it. And then also Trump just signed an executive order to build a treasury, or not a treasury, within the treasury to create a sovereign wealth fund for the US, which a lot of people have speculated that a lot of the seized crypto assets will, be put in that treasury. But there's speculation that this treasury could actually be used to buy TikTok, which is kind of crazy because it's like essentially the US government would be buying it from the CCP.
Right.
And it's like I don't necessarily love the idea of the government owning our social media platforms,
which would be kind of communistic.
I'm not saying Elon or Zuck should be the guy,
right.
But like I'm like I don't know if I want the government, regardless of who's in charge. I'm like, I don't think I want the government like
exactly.
our.
You're making a bold assumption. You're making a bold assumption that isn't already happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
you gotta look. I mean, think about who was standing behind Trump during his inauguration.
That was for a lot of
that's fair, but I don't. I think you can say the exact same thing about before when the FBI was pressuring them to do all this stuff.
I mean, the government doesn't care if your data gets sold; it just or data gets mined. They just care if your data gets mined and sent to China.
Yeah,
and if I had to pick, I'd rather it be mined here. Just like our Bitcoin, baby.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Didn't they say something about TikTok being intellectual property? The country's intellectual property. China's like, you can't have it. That's our country's intellectual property. So we're not
the thing though. Like we'll sell you the platform, but not the algorithm. Which is like, okay, well, we don't need the platform, right?
Well, and that's the interesting thing about, like, you're talking about who's going to buy it. You have to, I mean, the fundamental part of buying something is establishing what its value is. And that is the biggest crux of the whole buying TikTok argument is without the algorithm, people estimate it to be worth anywhere from like $30 to $40 billion. With the algorithm, which is what they call the golden algorithm, which TikTok would rather implode than give that out. They're looking at anywhere from like $150 billion to $300 billion if you include the algorithm. So like, yeah, it's cool if the Mr. Beast bro wants to come in with his $20 billion, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to what TikTok is actually valued at, even without it, even without the algorithm. But if you throw the actual algorithm in there, which I think is a pipe dream for anyone to assume they're going to actually do that.
Yeah.
You're looking at $300 billion potentially.
But isn't all of ByteDance worth 300 billion? Or are you just saying if they split it out, it would still be worth
but what is ByteDance without the algorithm?
TikTok's not only a portion of their revenue. They hold a bunch of other companies that are just irrelevant to the US.
Yeah, but you haven't put an actual dollar. It's like basically you build a house and now you're trying to sell it. So basically he's speculating that it's worth about 300 billion, even though the ByteDance may not be actually worth that much on paper.
Right.
Yeah.
When you use the excuse for national security, then sometimes it doesn't matter either. The value of something, it just drives me nuts. That's what Yellen used to keep saying. We're doing these measures because of national security. It may not be legal, but we're doing this for the sake of national security. We're not going to allow
Mandate.
these institutions to
Oh,
go
sorry.
for the sake of national security. No matter how they achieve their wealth, even if it was illegal, we can't let them fail. They're too big to fail because of national security. That's a whole
Hey,
nother segment.
to
Though.
this day, we still have Twinkies because of that. You bite your tongue, sir. You bite your tongue.
All right, Daniel, introduce the governmental or institutional crypto segment here. You've got Uniswap. What's that all about?
Yeah, so I thought this was pretty interesting, just on the kind of riding the tails of what we talked about. It was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago about some of the, I think it was Bank of America using XRP for their internal currency transfers. Is I read in a newsletter that Uniswap handles about $800 billion in monthly crypto trading volume. And so you can think of Uniswap as like the crypto version of like transferring euros to US dollars, right? At like some point you have to like convert them, and like, the value's determined when you're like going through the broker and whatnot. They kind of do that, but without like the middleman of, your typical bank broker, but for crypto. And so they recently released a V4 version that is something called hooks, which just means it's kind of like more programmable about how you can manage the pool of, the different currencies that you're converting between. But the reason this is kind of like a big deal is that because it gives traditional financial institutions the ability to add the compliance features and risk management that they are needed for their side of the regulation, but to, integrate these technologies or, swap pools for their, clientele or, their own use. And I thought this was like pretty big news because, one, the fact that Uniswap does $80 billion in monthly crypto trading volumes is insane. Like, I had no idea. Like, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And then the fact that these institutions are, could potentially start using them, because we are going to see some kind of regulatory framework of how, these banks can use them. And, where there's money to be made, the banks are going to adopt. And so, I thought it's kind of funny that this news is out as crypto is just absolutely tanking. So I'll let Darin talk about how, this is probably a psyops and they just whipped everyone out for a big rally coming up. Please tell me about how I'm going to be rich again soon, Darin, please.
Man, I don't know. We have to. I'll do what Roy says. Refer to the charts, but
hey, he can be taught.
And however it gets there, might be legal or illegal, but the charts will get it there. No, I mean, we're about to institute a reserve, right? A national reserve,
potentially.
So then it'll become basically a central bank, I guess, of crypto. Yeah, and then they'll form some more across the other Europe and everything else. So everybody will have their own crypto banks, which will be separate from. I'm writing a novel here. It's all fiction, but yeah, I could see that happening based on stuff you absolutely can't buy with Bitcoin. I mean, yet it's coming, right? It's coming. We're gonna be able to buy things with crypto, right? Anyway,
I mean, I would think of it like gold, right? You can't go to the store and use a gold coin.
Yeah.
Also, like, what would you do? Like,
you can crypto, trade it in for cash, trade it in for US dollar, and then go buy it. Yeah, it's okay. It's just an extra step. Okay, that's why Royce gave me the little thumb drive to use, so I can put my crypto.
Absolutely.
All of my how much do I have of XRP and Onyx coin? I think I'm up to $100. Yes.
Nailed it.
I'll share you a funny story. Is I was
XRP kind of
leaving
sucks lately, by the way.
Singapore once, and I'm going through, and they're like, "Do you have a thumb drive in your backpack?" I'm like, "Dude, it's like 2024. Who the hell owns a thumb drive?" Right? Like, and they're like going through my bag. They're like rescanning it. They're like, "Are you sure you don't have a thumb drive?" I'm like, "No." And I take everything out, and it was my ledger, right? Like my crypto cold storage.
Yeah.
And they like saw it and they're like, "Oh, okay, like you're good," right? They've had so many crypto bros come through that they just know what a ledger looks like. And I was like, I was like, oh shit, they better not take that. And they're like, no, you're good. I was like, it's kind of funny. It's like, are they worried about like people with like USB drives taking like stuff of national security purposes or something? And it's
Yes.
like just me and my little
Why
crypto
not?
wallet.
Yes, absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Man, put it in the cloud, dude. Grow up.
You know you can put
No, the
stuff
cloud
on
can be
that's like a
monitored.
drive. Not that I would know about that.
Mm.
But Linux for life. But,
All right, let's we've got Valentine's coming up next week, next Friday.
what about the Super Bowl? What about
So
the Super Bowl?
we'll hold on. We'll I don't want to talk about Super Bowl because I hate both teams. Let's
That's all I wanted to hear.
okay.
Aaron, tell me about something you do like.
The Kansas City referees versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mhm.
Philadelphia Mafia. I don't know.
ESLES Eagles.
I'll be pulling for the Eagles for sure, only because of my intense dislike of the referees in Kansas City and their love affair. All right, so no, but I was saying the Valentine's thing because of Adam and Eve, right? And they were the original couple, right? Adam and Eve.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
And,
I'm like, where's this going?
I'm getting there. And one of the bad things that happened was someone tried to get somebody to eat a bad apple, right? I mean, that's what happened. So that's the that was a long way of getting around to
the worm.
The next topic,
Wait,
which is bad
wait,
apple.
Darin has worms.
a big blob.
I think he has a brain worm after that one.
Rid of the whole thing. Just throw
I haven't
Do you
had
have
my
the
colonoscopy
RF?
yet, so maybe I do.
Do you have the
All right.
RFK brain worm?
You can give me documentation too. I get in trouble for that one. So anyway, bad apple is the next thing on the agenda, and we're talking about Bitcoin Apple heads, one of his favorite topics here. So, but he had enough. He said bad apple. So what are you talking about, Daniel? What do you mean bad apple?
So, you know, Apple recently reported earnings, and they beat revenue estimates.
Yes,
but the revenue from the iPhone specifically fell by $2 billion. And their reasoning was that sales in China for iPhones dropped 11%, which is a lot when you think about the amount that they sell in China. And they tried to cover it up by saying, but like, oh, where you can use Apple Intelligence, iPhone sales were good. Even though I think we talked about before, Apple isn't remotely viewed as an AI company because it's so atrociously bad.
Right.
But I kind of look at this as like a market indicator for the trade war of, you know, iPhone sales dropping so much in China. And, you know, they claim that there was production issues, blah, blah, blah. But I actually think that's just like not true. And I think you're going to see that a lot of US kind of consumer good companies are going to plummet their sales in China coming up. And I don't know if you're really going to see them recover unless it's someone like NVIDIA where they need more NVIDIA chips to be able to copy them to make their own.
Well, it's my opinion is, and plus facts, believe that or not, is they're selling more of the Chinese phones, which are competitors to Apple. So they're undercutting them on the price. So and you know how the economy is bad in China, so they're going to go for something that they can afford. So I think there's part of that. That's part of it. Just like the DeepSeek with the AI undercutting things. That's what they're going to do with everything. Like we've said before, they undercut everything. So they're undercutting Apple now. And people are, and they're doing it with cool things, which is the way to pull people in with features. So they do that with their cars.
I will say, being in China last year, I was like,
yeah.
I wouldn't personally buy one, but like they do got some pretty cool phones.
Yes.
That we just like either are not popular, or they haven't figured out in America. But you know, Huawei, which is like banned in the US, is like they got some pretty cool looking stuff. Like
the cars, just like the EV cars. Their EV cars were pretty cool too.
I will say BYD, I would still rather have a Tesla having been in a few BYDs. It's like, I'm like, yeah, it's like good, like 80% copy, but like, it's still not a Tesla. But that being said, in 5 years,
it might be.
Yep. Anything you want to add there, Banker? Looks like you're about to say something.
God, yes. Okay.
Oh, there he goes. He's gonna throw up now.
Like
Throw it all up, please.
this is so on brand for Apple. Apple is behind by 2 years at every turn. Apple is the only thing they have ever prioritized is cash and markup. Like you look at the old adage, 10 years ago, and it's the whole reason I'm such an Android guy is that because I was paying for, if you bought an Apple phone, you're paying for half the hardware for twice the price. It was never you got to think about how long it took them to roll out widgets. I mean, we had those forever. You got to think about how long we're just now getting, they're begrudgingly rolling out RCS, even though it's superior to iMessage and more compatible with all the various devices. But Apple won't do it because they're fine. They want everybody to go iMessage. You look at I think the biggest thing that Apple, the biggest new feature that Apple rolled out last year with their new iPad release, if you watch the I/O back in August or October or something like that, was a touch screen calculator app. Yes. They actually did a big presentation of a touch screen calculator app.
How cool is that? The camera to the middle of the iPad now instead of on the top.
Yes, this is so perfectly on brand, and it explains exactly why their AI is hot mess garbage, is because they're 2 years behind at every turn. Every single time they are 2 years plus behind, because the only thing they've ever really pride themselves on is how much cash they can hoard. It's why they spent all of that cash going into, now they're going into financials, and they want to be a bank and an investment asset and things like that. And they've never focused on hardware. They've never focused on tech. They've never focused on innovation. They've always been, they've been trying to do I guess if you want to parallel between the car market, the Toyota Lexus model, where they just want to do stability and reliability for all the, geriatrics that have the iPhone. So they don't have, people, going into their the geek store saying how do I get this to work? And sure, I get that. They've got a niche market. But as far as tech and innovation and new and promising and forward thinking, it's just not. They've never been. They've always been behind, and they've been happy to do that because people are still going to pay $1,500 for the iPhone 25 XL RP. It is to me.
First of all, that's how Samsung names their phones, not Apple.
Okay. You have a point there. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But it doesn't change the point that this is exactly how Apple has always operated, and I don't know why anybody is really surprised that it's continuing to operating in the same way.
All right.
Is that all you got to say?
Oh no, I could still go on. If you want to talk about the China thing, I got a lot. Yeah.
No, I was going to say what's funny is here we are apes together, and now we're androids together too. I didn't even know that. So that's I like you a little bit more.
We're apples together, Daniel.
And I know you're two apples in a tree over there, and on the same side of the screen. In the final,
the right side.
Yeah. Also, I mean, didn't Apple? They actually have less cash on hand now, right? And I think they kept a lot of cash around for buybacks, right? I mean, one of their main things is they want to do buybacks, and which also pumps the price up and keeps it up and keeps everybody's portfolios happy. But I think they are aren't they pulling that back? Was it Apple or it was another big company that are starting to dig into their cash reserves now, and they're having less to do buybacks with? I don't know. Wasn't prepared to talk about that, but I thought it might have been Apple. Might have been somebody else.
You got a little rebuttal for the Joshes over there.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Not that I'm a fan of Apple, but I am a fan of security, right? The major split in the road between Apple, Samsung, Android, all those guys is open source versus closed, right? Apple's always behind because it's closed. They don't share their source code. They don't share their code at all, which means it's less likely that an Apple phone will get hacked or compromised or jailbroke or any of these things that you can do to a phone. So it's yes, they're 2 years behind, but you also don't have the incidentals where people sneak an app onto the store and now they have all your information and you're completely oblivious that someone's cloned your phone or someone's done this to your phone. And yeah, it's completely they pride themselves on security versus open source, which a lot of people begrudge them that. They're like, why won't you give us this or give us that? iMessage is proprietary, RCS is not, which means, once again, if you let that on your platform, now you're having to deal with, okay, if there is a vulnerability, now we're maybe a victim of that as well. So it's just a different way of thinking. Closed source versus open source.
Like, honestly, I agree with you entirely. Like, and that was going to be my point on the China thing, was that in my interpretation of how things are going, it's kind of one of the reasons that iPhone sales have dipped in China is because the Chinese government can't sneak their fingers into everybody's iPhone, everybody's iCloud account. So they're Apple has dead set on security, and they're closed source, like you said. That does not resonate with the Chinese Communist Party, and so that's why to me that's my interpretation of how the sales are declining.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also why they'll have the giant price tag on it too. Because I'm like, for the longest, I was trying to figure out, why are people using Macs? I'm like, Windows is everywhere. And they're like, oh, no viruses. Well, that helps.
Well, it's not true anymore. Yeah.
So I'll say, as someone who used to be Android and Windows, and even though I have, a MacBook and an iPhone, and I don't think it's like so superior, I will say the one thing that I like that keeps me there for now, and I can't say this is going to be true in the future because they're starting to do things that annoy me, is that it just works, right? Like, there were times when I had Android, I was just like, why isn't this doing the thing that I wanted to do, right? I would update my Windows computer, and half of my applications would like stop working. And I'd like install a new driver for this thing and that thing. And this thing was like, oh, well, it's going to be like 2 months until it updates. So I was like, even though it's behind because it works. But speaking of the kind of switch topics, one of the funny things about the trade war is that when China brought forth, what they were going to do to the US, is that they brought, I think it was antitrust against Google, which I find hilarious because Google doesn't operate in China. And I was gonna be like what?
About that too,
like,
yeah.
I was like, what do you mean they don't operate in China? I was like, maybe they sell a few phones, but I was like, if you don't operate there, how can you have antitrust against them? And it made me think of
can you do antitrust against the Chinese government?
Yeah, that'll go over well.
Who's gonna win? All right, let's go to we do talk about AI. That's because it's so prevalent. But we're talking about AI hype. So you want to introduce what's going on here, Daniel, with your AI hype and and one of the millennials' favorite, I'll even say apes too. Reddit people and apes.
Darin, this is where we connect.
Yeah, this goes back to early 2020, 2021. I mean, it was Palantir. Everybody's talked about Palantir, all the meme stocks, and it was one of them. And it was a governmental security, and it's changed what it does, I think, over the years, or added on one or the other. I don't know, at least what they bring to the forefront of, this is what we do. And the CEO looks like he's the scientist out of Back to the Future. I mean, with his hair and everything. Anyway, kind of like it talks like a used car salesman. You can tell I like him too. So what do we got to say here about Palantir and just the AI hype, Daniel?
Yeah, so after earnings, they popped about 24% to a new record high, which they're already the top performing stock of 2025. And last year they did 340%, which made them one of the top performing stocks. And, it's kind of like speculation that they're going to be used more in the government, and that, it's a Peter Thiel company, which is, kind of associated with Elon Musk. And, Elon Musk is going to want to usher in more kind of AI defense tech that's more efficient. But if you look at the chart, it's probably one of the most parabolic things I've ever seen in my life. And I know when we were talking behind the scenes, Josh had some a good point about them that I'll let him talk about.
Oh, just that. I mean, you're looking at what they're actually valued at, which is, as of today, their market cap is $230 billion, and their earnings per share are 11 cents.
Gee, what's wrong here?
So, yeah, I mean, sure, you can look at that valuation all you want, but that, to me, that does not change. And it's not like this is not a brand new thing. It's not like, oh my God, they finally went from growth to actually profitable. No, this has been going on the entire year. Their last earnings, EPS, have been 11 cents, 9 cents, 8 cents, 8 cents, 7 cents. This has been going on forever, since 2023. And then now all of a sudden they throw in a freaking buzzword in AI, and everybody's like, oh, wow, this makes perfect sense. I'm going to buy. And it just starts to moon. Like I doesn't make sense to me.
The thing that makes sense here, because it's happened with a bunch of other stocks, especially meme stocks that they let get away, is the shorts. Shorts have been crazy, and you can go back and look at the chart for shorts. I think it's an 8 billion right now. In fact, I put it down. Let's see. Short interest was still 84 million shares at the end of January. And it has slowly declined since October, and that's when the price started inching up. And you can see when they started taking care of their shorts, this price is going up. So it's that's part of it. And that's what all of us apes we rely on, is that these companies are finally going to be forced to actually cover their shorts, which will cause an upward movement, which is it's kind of like a momentum thing. And so what's happened to Palantir is what all of us dirty apes have been waiting on for these other meme stocks that we've kept alive, because Palantir was looking really bad at one point. So I don't expect this price to stay where it is at all. I think it's just like the other pops that these other meme stocks have had. It's going to hit up here and everybody get all excited, and then rug pull after the shorts are satisfied, and they'll make money on the way down. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see when that happens.
Well, I mean,
Or if.
shameless plug, but if you check the arbitrage charts, we get crosses everywhere.
Yep. Crosses and dollar signs.
Yep.
Multiple, which sometimes that it's almost like I don't want to get biblical here, but it's like it comes from out of the dead and rises again even higher, and then it gets crucified again, and then finally goes down. Anyway,
you don't play with that cross.
It is written.
No, that's when everyone starts praying that it's coming back, and that's what
yes. We're getting religious about praying and crosses, and
you've given up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday's class from Royce will be called Biblical Time. All right. Anything you want to add there, Royce, to the craziness of AI? I mean, we kind of hit it, but we were specifically talking about Palantir here. But actually, you want to talk a little about shorts covering? I mean, just a little bit.
Well, I always have a different perspective, just because an economist perspective versus regular retail thinking on several things. But short covering are just basically people shorting. They're not necessarily shorting just to short. They're short also are technically writing put contracts, because basically you're just saying, hey, I want to buy this stock. I just want it to go lower for me to buy this stock. So it's not a bad thing. I mean, for anyone who writes a cash secure put, you're technically shorting the market, but you're shorting the market with the hopes that it actually gets down to your price. You keep the premium, and then you get to ride the ride as it goes back up. So whether it's forcing a company to actually cover their shorts, that basically means you're saying stop rolling your puts.
Right.
Stop rolling your puts, stop collecting premium, and just buy the stock. But I've never seen in any market where you make money where you buy. You only make money when you sell. So they're going to continue selling their puts and collecting their premium.
Well, it's these shorts that have been built up over the years, and like you said, I think they keep rolling them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they finally got to a point that it was like, wait a minute, this is up to $100. I can't roll this anymore, and it's going to look bad on my ledger. I've got to go ahead and buy these back. And then that's what creates the moonshots is is these shorts having to be covered, in my opinion. At some point, they have to do it. They either or they'll get
No,
margin
you
call.
don't. You don't necessarily have to do it. You can roll indefinitely, and you can roll as the only thing that you risk when you're in this type of situation is them forcing you to exercise.
That's what I mean.
There's
Yes.
nothing saying, "Hey, we can force you to exercise early." Now you're actually on the stock, but you still got it at an incredible discount.
Sure, sure.
Like for example, did you know that right now you can literally sell a single, and this is a true statement. You can sell a single contract of Tesla for June 20th and make $10,300. So that is literally a 25% return, and all you're doing is waiting for June 20th at the 450 strike. So why wouldn't you?
Yep. All right. I'm not going to get into the depths of shorting and meme stocks, but
It's free money. It's money on the table.
It's a fun story to dig into. It's not that it's being shorted. It's all the things that happen to keep a company from having to actually pay up on those shorts. Like you said,
What is there
rolling
to
is
pay?
one of them.
Remember, for them to short, someone has to buy that. Someone has
I
to
know.
buy that put.
I know.
So that means the people who are buying, they're gambling. The people who are selling, the person who's selling that short, they're investing.
There's naked shorting, and then there's those people who it doesn't even get marked as a short, even though it is a short. It's marked as a long, which plays with the percentages that are really out there. So if it's 10%, like Palantir is, I think now, with only 1.1 days to cover, it really might be 20% because of all the 10% that doesn't get reported as being shorted. And these companies have gotten in trouble for not marking the big companies. We're talking about the too big to fail companies not marking things as short, even though they are typically put in as short. And short exempts. That's a whole other thing too. There's so many things out there that are just shady. And now with the new government that's come in that doesn't want to challenge any of that, it's anyway. I'm not going to get into a whole 30 minutes on how the apes are getting
on
their
the
ass
other
kicked.
side of that, right? A long
Yeah.
is definitely not a short, but it's still collecting premium. So that means it also lets the market makers know where you expect the price to get to. And if enough people are there, it stops them from getting over that price point.
What? And you're talking operations. I'm talking about just dishonesty when the market maker says this is a long, even though it's a short. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. They're one and the same. You just sold premium on both sides.
The reason why when they go in, they have to select this is a long or this is a short, and they choose to say this is a long, even though it's a short. No matter if it's the same thing.
An apple's an apple's an apple. You
Okay.
get premium? Yes, you
There's
got
no need
premium.
to even have that choice. There's no need to even have a choice as picking long or short then. It just should be open Wild West, and there should be no statistics kept about anything, which is where we're going anyway.
Sounds fun.
With this new guy.
Yeah.
This guy is straight from the hedge funds. So, I mean, anyway. The lots of people are celebrating. Hey, all our illegal activities can get even more illegal now. All right, here we go. Let's go to
And that's how Darin keeps getting us canceled, folks.
I'm just taking up for us poor. I'm taking up for us poor people against all the wealthy in the world. Okay.
All right, Robin Hood.
You can't keep all right. So all right, next thing is the Powell pause. What do you mean, Daniel? Why are you saying Powell pause? Just because he's not taking the rates up or down, he's just going to leave it right where it is?
Yep, he left it where it is, probably to make Trump a little upset because, as Trump said, he wants rates to come down, which I actually don't agree with. I mean, I think they should have never cut, in my opinion.
I agree.
The economy's, on paper, kind of strong, right? Inflation is weakening. The labor market's pretty solid. It seems like, Darin, I can only put so many caveats on everything I say.
I know.
I think the audience at this point, if they've listened to us for this long,
they know
has
what
some
I'm
brains,
saying.
and they know the asterisk.
That's why I just said
So until it's revised in 3 months, one of the more interesting things I saw is that the U.S. economy grew, in terms of GDP by 2.3% last quarter, which was slowing a bit from 3.1, but was significantly better than the EU's GDP growth of 0. So, while maybe we're not doing the best compared to normal, we're doing a lot better than other places. And, we've seen everywhere else, cutting rates except for us.
As far as we know, we're doing well.
I mean, even further to your
If
point,
the
like,
reports are correct.
I don't know if
Okay,
you
go
saw, I think it was either this morning or yesterday, like it's to the point, like Trump actually agrees with Powell. Like he even came out and said,
Did he?
yes, he even came out and said
Okay.
that pausing rates was the right move given the current climate.
All right. Did not see that one coming.
No.
Well, the wealthy get wealthier, right?
Well,
Companies get more margin.
yeah. From my
So-
point of view, is basically because we do Forex mostly over here, right? By us not lowering our rates and them lowering their rates, our interest rates are higher, which means people want to stay in the US dollar more than any other country's money, which makes the dollar rise and slows our inflation and creates a demand for the US dollar, which once again makes America great again. So as long
All
as
right.
they're cutting more than we're cutting, we win.
Okay. I just waiting for something for reality and truth to come out with all these reports. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, grow up, Darin. That doesn't happen.
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, even with Doge.
All right, plus 2 points to Daniel there.
Let's don't create that scoreboard. All right. Speaking of, let's go to what stock did you bring out this week here? We are going to do After the Bell, Crayons and Charts with Royce Wells. And
I'm going back.
Okay.
Pool.
Pool. Huh.
Pool.
What does Pool do? Distribution services.
We got two things. We're kind of split in where we want to go on this guy, short term and long term. So let me actually bring up the long term chart as well. So long term, monthly time frame looks like Pool is about to go into another monthly long term trend, which basically gives us about a 5-year expectancy somewhere around 618. It's currently 339. So this is a long-term play, very long-term play. But short-term, if you basically want to be at the eye of the storm, going back down to our 15-minute chart using the intermediate band, which is the middle of our system, we also see that it's also trying to get above that pink line at 339 with a potential top at about 360-ish. So that means there's about a 10% in the short term gain that's possible over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So let's just keep our eye on that. All right, back to you guys.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't ready for that. Okay, that was After the Bell with Royce. A nice, succinct,
short, sweet.
Yes, absolutely, and to the point. And he's trying to hurry up and get to this point, probably. So we have to say what happened this week. First of all, a Zillow was introduced as the stock of the week, the big Z. And I don't want to pull this up, but I'm going to have to because it's under my contract. I have to pull this up. And I will click on scoreboard now and see our boss thinks he's funny. Royce thinks he's funny. Not only is he wearing a red shirt today, but he went out of the way to put me as the lowest and give me a red 3. While he gave Josh a green 7, a Daniel a green 4, and a Royce a green 6. So I'm the only one that gets the red number out of this whole
these things belong together.
Yes.
Darin, Darin, I think you lost. I think that's why.
I feel like it's 3-1 at this point.
Wait, but we're glossing over the really big issue here, and that's
getting there. I
won.
Right?
Yeah, I'm getting there. So if you will do the math here, the apes have tied the quantitudes, which we didn't like because we pretty much thought we had it in the bag. We thought it was over. We thought we had won. We thought the rest were on our side, just like Kansas City, and that we were going to win no matter what happened. But unfortunately, Daniel pulls it out.
We pulled it out.
And not only eclipses me by 1, so we both can't have red numbers, but he now gives us a tie going into next year or next season, not next year.
Yes.
I swear
which-
Royce called in some favors with some friends at KeyBank and was like, "Hey, can y'all just put out a PR real quick?"
Yeah, they
Like,
did do that. And then a green recycle appears.
The buy, like
Everything's awesome.
Everything. I
Key
told you,
Bank.
man.
Who listens to the Key Bank analyst?
Right?
Royce apparently. Like,
How much do you pay them? I mean,
Yeah, Cameron
you're not
built
an
all my
institute. You
secrets.
don't pay people to write articles. Come on. You don't do short and distort. I had to
Yeah.
get that in.
Oh, wait. Oh.
All right, Mr. Winner, Daniel, Mr. Bitcoin Applehead, what is your stock pick for the next week? And by the way, when we start the new season, I'm going to look into having a randomizer on the who gets to go first. But go ahead, Daniel. What is your stock?
We're going Alibaba just for Darin.
For me, you're the one you're closer to Alibaba than I am geographically. Probably have your own carpet you ride.
Ooh, yes, absolutely.
Let's go over here. We're going to go back to charts with Royce as he pulls up Alibaba. He's going to give us the channels.
All right, let's go over here. This is the monthly, but let's go look at the daily. Don't want to give too much people too much hope.
Remember, this is still China. No matter what you say or do, could change tomorrow.
All right.
But these are charts.
These are our charts. The range is about $250 a piece. It's about a $10 range. So roughly 95 to 105.
905 to 105. All right.
So pick
you
your
are on
poison.
the daily chart.
I'm on the daily chart.
This is your trick. See, I'm starting to learn. So for us to do this, we need to pull it down. Okay, let's pull it down to the 4. There you go. That looks a little different.
Absolutely. But look at the
Your
month.
turn. You also
Cat jumped up and meowed right in the microphone.
I'm surprised he didn't slap it off the table.
I know.
What? That touched the microphone?
Yeah, that's right.
But
also looking at Royce, I'm looking at this time frame. The odds are very low where it's sitting. See that 18%, 8.6%.
yeah, this is basically ending that way this week. So
because you taught me to look for where the odds are like 100% to 80%.
Yeah, but that's only good for a few days if you're on a 30 minute.
All I need is 5 market days.
Okay. And look at that, 95 to 105.
Yep, that's what I was the one. Yep. It's so much different.
Not really. The odds are still in the range that I said. So, yeah.
So wait,
yeah, no, I
95
get
to
that. I get that. But
95 to 105.
No.
That's a divided by 4. Okay.
250.
95 to 105. So basically start at 95 and go up to 97.50 and then 97.50 to 100, 100 to 102.50 and then 105 and above.
Yep.
Like 375?
375?
No, like 15 divided by 4.
250. 250 a piece.
250 each.
Yep. This is why I don't do math.
That's okay. They pay me to do math on television.
All right, we're waiting on.
But if you ask Ari,
precision.
I don't do math.
All right, I want 100 to 102.5.
Okay.
100 to 102.5 is Daniel, otherwise known as third place. And who are you picking? Because you still can do this, I guess. We really should have the randomizer for this week, but go ahead. Who is your next pick?
I mean, I got to stay loyal to my soil.
I knew that was coming.
Royce.
All right.
Absolutely.
See, we clearly need the randomizer. None of us are ever going to deviate.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
No, see, I'm going to surprise everyone. I'm going to take 95 and below.
Oh,
That's not that surprising.
that's what I wanted.
I know.
Not surprising.
Believe me, I picked which one where I thought it would go, and then I'm like, where would Darin pick? Let me pick
No, this is the one and the same this time.
Oh, so you're just
Don't
throwing
give
in
me
the
that.
towel.
Yeah. I'm like, after
He
all,
wants the bottom of the channels. He
Daniel
knows
won
this is
last
going down
week without
further.
me picking. I literally let everyone go before me. So
He knows that's where this is going, is down, at least through next week. All right. Who's next? All right, I'll just say go ahead, JP.
I'll take
I'll beat you to it, Daniel.
just right above Royce.
No, Daniel's right above Royce.
But
no, Daniel is
I'm not.
100, right? 1025,
Yeah.
250.
Oh yeah, okay.
So yeah,
but 95 to
9750 to 100 is you, Josh.
okay.
All right. And I'll clean up the upper layer, which I don't think is going to happen unless we get
So,
a
I mean,
China
anything
comes out and
below
says they've made a new
97.50
agreement
is
with Trump. Then I'll get my little bump up, just as you can see the bump up that happened earlier, and I'll get my bump and then win for 1 week before it crashes. We'll hope for small victories here going into the new season. All right, guys, let's get everybody out of here. Let's go home to the wives, the dogs, the cats, the roosters, anything else that might be in and around the house.
Rooster just went off too. So
There you go.
They should be asleep now. They've woken everybody up. Now they go to sleep. All right. Good to see you guys. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, 7 days is a long time in Trump world. Anything can happen. So we'll see you
Yes.
next week. Bye.
Next week.
see you guys.